marking the anniversary of a terrorist attack. On April the 19th, 1995, a bomb exploded outside a federal building, killing 168 people. The rubble that was left has been replaced by a memorial visited by 500,000 people every year. Among the crowd on this anniversary, victims of the September 11 attacks.
It's heartbreaking to think that people would forget. But I know that we'll never forget. I don't think New Yorkers will ever forget.
But those bonded by tragedy worry that other Americans are becoming complacent.
I think we're still at risk for another attack. The sleeper cells will wait for an opportunity when people's guards are down to launch one.
With the war in Iraq virtually over, the national terror alert has been lowered. The expected retaliatory attacks haven't occurred here in the States, and many Americans are starting to feel that the worst is over. Ken Thompson, whose mother died in Oklahoma, is now part of the memorial's Institute for the Prevention of Terrorism.
If you ever think that terrorism will not strike you, I am living proof that it will.
And the experiences of the war in Iraq, rather than making Americans feel secure, should sound an even bigger warning.
I have been very surprised that we have not had suicide bombers in the United States as of yet.
But here, those who've felt the impact of terrorism firsthand wonder if it's just a matter of time. Lisa Miller, ABC News, Oklahoma City.
Seven years on from the Oklahoma bomb, the city is still coming to terms with the shock. The bomb site is now a beautiful memorial.
We come here to remember those who were killed, those who survived, and those changed forever. May all who leave here know the impact of violence. May this memorial offer comfort, strength, peace, hope, and serenity.
Ken Thompson's mother died in the blast. Hers was the last body to be pulled out of the rubble.
The chairs represent each person killed in the bombing. They are lined in such a way that the first row of chairs facing the pool is who died on the first floor of the building. The second floor and third floor are the concurrent rows there.
A truck filled with a fertilizer bomb was left parked outside the building.
I was on the 4th floor. I worked in the Army Recruiting Battalion as an Army Sergeant.
I was in my office on the 1st floor.
And it felt like something, like a ton of bricks had hit me in the center of my head.
I didn't hear anything. I didn't feel anything. I just know that I was buried underneath a rubble pile and dug out and carried out of the building by an Oklahoma City policeman.
The bomber was caught and convicted. He wasn't a foreign terrorist. He was an American. Timothy McVeigh.
I testified at the McVeigh trial. Probably the most difficult thing I ever did. Sitting there across from McVeigh, looking at them at the time that I was telling them my story or the story of my coworkers that I lost, or just the history of the building, those kinds of things, and the people within that building being a family. There was no remorse whatsoever on their parts. The evidence was so overwhelming that there was no doubt, absolutely no doubt whatsoever. Who did it? We just don't really know why.
He was put to death by lethal injection in this room in June 2001.
When Timothy McVeigh actually was put to death, many victims actually felt like they were going to receive peace out of this. And when they didn't receive peace because someone else died because of the act, then obviously they've had some pain with that, because they were setting themselves up to feel some sort of relief that this person actually was no longer a part of their lives.
I actually went to the viewing to see just to see if he would ask for forgiveness or had come to a place where he had did some soul searching or whatever, and to ask for our forgiveness. And he didn't.
I tried not to let Timothy McVeigh have any of my days. He had took too many already. So I did not look for and go to the trial, and I did not go to the execution.
I really found a real connection between New York City and Oklahoma City, between the events, and the similarities are very strikingly similar.
Mike escaped the World Trade Center attack.
7 years has gone by, and the people that were affected by the Oklahoma City tragedy have moved on, and they can really assist people in New York on the different little stages of grief. A year later, anybody in New York wants to always make sure there was something that 100 years from now, 200 years from now, 1,000 years from now, people are going to remember what happened on that day. And I think here, people always remember what happened on April 19, 1995. Strikes me, it's something that I look at as hopefully a model for what they'll do, because I'm trying to get now actively involved in what's going on right now in New York, and this really right away strikes me as kind of a model for what they should look to do in New York. Unfortunately, like we said earlier, probably different circumstances, economics, and other factors involved in politics, but you wish as far as, I know what the families really want, and we just want a good space, sizable space for the memorial, and something that do not build on the footprints of the towers, because that represents a lot of to me that's would be very disrespectful, but again, that's something that will probably may take a couple of years to even fight out, but we just want the family's input into what the, kind of like everybody here in Oklahoma City had determination into. Oklahoma City, I think New York City we should consider them brothers in these as a result of.
What difference did that make you happy? What are you looking to achieve?
I'm basically looking at this memorial itself as hopefully what I envision the World Trade Center memorial to look like. Obviously, it's going to be different in how it's laid out and designed, but I think from my only hope is what they build on the World Trade Center is only, if it's even half of what this memorial is, I think it will have done justice to all the people who perished. And I really, it's my way of moving forward is to never forget and always remember. And I think that's how a year later, anybody in New York wants to always, make sure there was something that 100 years from now, 200 years from now, 1,000 years from now, people are going to remember what happened on that day. And I think here, people always remember what happened on April 19, 1995. The thing is to move on, move forward, and for all the people who perished that day, I think as a survivor, you want to live every day to its fullest, to as a tribute to them. That's the way you pay tribute, I think, is by moving forward, remembering every day, and also living your life, making every day as if it's your last day. I just completed traveling 48 the continental states as a tribute to myself and to all the people that's the way to really appreciate and love this country, is by seeing it and treating every day as a. I think I consider the people I've spent time with here family, and I think even people in New York and a lot of people of different segments of the population of people who were affected by it as family, and we will always be family. We're united by, unfortunately, a very disastrous event, but I think over time you become united, and quite honestly, a lot of people, you can relate in some ways to that specific day with those people more than sometimes your closest family, because you have that connection. You were there, you know what they were going through. So,
I'd like everyone to be introduced to Mike Dempsey from New York City.
How are you?
And I want everybody to talk to you.
Hi, Mike.
How you doing?
I'm Paul Heath.
How you doing, Paul?
Nice to meet you.
Same here.
Vicky Ham.
Hey, Vicky.
Nice to meet you.
Hi.
Dot Hill.
Hey, Dot. Oh, I saw you at the. I saw your video at the thing at the memorial.
Mike meets Oklahoma survivors so they can help him move on.
I was right. Give you an idea of what we've done this morning, what we've done this morning, just to let you know, is the memorial let us in early to go through the museum with Mike alone. So Calvin and I went to the museum with him to give him some perspective prior to meeting with you. And I met with Mike about 2.5 months ago in New York City and had dinner, and he really has struck a kinship with the people of Oklahoma City and has always wanted to come here and learn from survivors. To come to Oklahoma City and spending some time with you. Been trying to move forward. He's got some wonderful things in life to live for, a beautiful wife and a daughter on the way, and some things that he can communicate with you. But
so I live every day as if it's my last day. May sound fatalistic or pessimistic, but not really, because I think we all need to live like that. Enjoy every day as if it's our last day. Because
Yeah. I can tell you right now the feelings that you're going through. Let us say right now, that's not abnormal.
Yeah.
And we've all experienced the same thing, and all can verify that.
Yeah.
And as we talk today, you'll know that. But I think the commonality that we have is unique.
Yeah.
You're never going to find the person you were before this event again. That person has been changed permanently. And we call it a new normal state of being. Is a real. But we're so glad you came today.
It makes
appreciate hearing your story.
And I think the important theme of it is that, my dad said this to me very early on, is you don't want to be another victim of this tragedy. You want to be a true definition of a survivor, somebody who's moving on with his life, and for all that's the tribute to everybody who died that day, is not to be another victim, be a survivor. Post-traumatic stress disorder even more affecting, because you're resigned to a fatalistic idea of, this could happen again, and it could be on a grander scale. And I think a lot of us have just taken the feeling that, if it happens, it happens. And I walk past every day the Empire State Building as it's my way of showing courage. I walk past it every day to not live in fear. And everybody needs that one little. But to me, that's what makes me feel like, I'm not letting the terrorists defeat me. And I went to the top of the Empire State Building. I've gone on airplanes. I've gone to the top of skyscrapers. Not going to live my life. They've taken a piece from me, but they're not going to take. I still have. I try to get as much of myself back as what I was before 9/11. I try to continue on with the same things, and you can't get your routine back. It's changed. I have a different path to work every day. I have a lot of things. My life have changed, but I try to minimize what has changed to the best I can. I mean, you can't. Obviously, some things are unavoidable, and life did change very dramatically right away. But anything I could control, I've tried to keep, because we're animals that breed on routine. That's what we do in life.
Have you written your story?
You'll make it.
Yeah, let's stay in touch too.
Okay.
Okay.
I have to tell you, that's what really you do. You were in the midst of a survivor in Oklahoma. When you came here after that, because everybody hugged each other.
Yeah.
You didn't see anybody shaking hands anymore.
Mm-hmm.
We all hugged each other. The first thing I did with some buddies of mine that I had worked with for years or been around.
Yeah.
First time I saw them after that, I gave them a hug.
Your Mike Joe Seal.
Yeah,
That's right.
Exactly. All right, thanks.
Yeah. Well, I think everybody here at this table today carries a piece of that day, and they're changed forever. But they accept the new person that they are, and they're comfortable with that. And I think that's the reality I have to face with, is that I'm a different person today than I was September 10th. But when I'm very comfortable with that, and I only I think it's will hopefully provide a positive output from that. I'm happy with who I am, and I'm not distancing myself from that change. I'm comfortable, and I go from there. If I had internalized everything I had seen that day and not spoken to anybody, I don't think I'd be sitting here right now, because it would have ate away at me, and I would have died a slow death. What I'm doing by talking to people about it is finding ways to cope and move on and move ahead, and that's the reason I'm moving forward.
So, like, you've met with these people, you've had lunch with them. What did you take? What kind of message did you get from them?
I think what I take away from today basically is the sense of unity. Survivors, whether it be New York, Oklahoma, any victims of terrorism, we're all united, whether even geographically, because share similar experiences, and there are a lot of things you couldn't even tell you can't even relate to your closest family members that you can relate to people who have been through similar experiences, and the parallels I find personally between Oklahoma City and New York is very striking, and that's the reason behind why I reached out to Ken and his group, because it made a big difference. You see over a 7-year period of time the different stages of moving on from grief and moving forward, and I think that's what every survivor should try to do, is move forward, because to be paralyzed with fear and despair is not living, and I want to live, and I'm not afraid of living, and what these people are doing is living and carrying on with their lives and making a difference, and and that's something hopefully I can do one day, is make the same bit of difference. Hopefully, there won't be any reason for, hopefully there will be no future incidents of terrorism, but if there ever was one, I feel hopefully one day I could serve in the capacity and help people. That's one thing. Probably that morning, if I could have helped anybody, I wish I could have done that. So, now that I've helped myself along with others who have helped me, I'd like to give back the same way that the people from Oklahoma City have done. And
I think resiliency is a real key for survivors and family members. How do you get up every day and channel that? A lot of us had survivor guilt and other things that were really preying on us, and I think the idea is to do something positive to help and bring people together. People here that I'm with today are family. 9/11 family, Oklahoma City family. They share that common denominator of being a victim of terrorism. Our life has changed forever, but how do we move forward? We're a changed person. We have to create a new normal. The person I was on September 10, 2001 is a different person than I am now. And these people here can understand that the people from Oklahoma City can help us. They were 6.5 years ahead of us. So it's been very special.
Mike, tell me.
Anthony Gardner called the WTC United Family Group to bring family members, survivors, together with others to create a bond or shared experience, and then we formed a bond with Oklahoma City, which we brought into the fold, and that was really critical to my healing. And every year since, we've come down to Oklahoma City for 10 years now to be part of their anniversary, and then we brought them up to partake in our anniversary on 9/11. So it's been a very big experience.